Twisters is a movie that's better than it should be, but worse than it could be. And here's why. There's a couple of really well-directed fun sequences that I can think of. One where a fire tornado starts, and on the windshield you see the fire tornado beginning as it goes up the windshield. And that was a great little visual to show these characters reacting to something that we could also see because of the windshield. Really great little subtle filmmaking there. And these characters just have a little something extra too. I really liked the charisma of Glenn Powell, who's naturally very charismatic, but his character has a little bit of added depth too, which is kind of going along with the overall thematic of the movie, which is basically just like, don't judge a book by its cover. Just like the first Twister, there's two different caravans going after these tornadoes, and one you think are the good guys and one you think are the bad guys. Now naturally, they're not all bad, but they're competition. Early on, it does a good job of showing that competition. They're cutting each other off. One looks more out there, more stupid, while one is more scientific, whereas the guys that are shooting fireworks into a tornado while screaming and hollering and doing a YouTube channel look like the ones that are more dumb. So you tend not to like them. And then it plays with that expectation a lot, which I like. But by the end, the film actually subtly starts to tone that down as you start to like them more, and as our main character starts to like them. They become more grounded. You learn about them. You learn why they're selling t-shirts. You learn what they're doing for the communities, and you start to like them more. You start to see the other guys as maybe the villains. The opening scene beautifully demonstrates the guilt that these characters are bearing when all of their friends die.
In the moment, I got it wrong.
In pretty horrific ways that is very similar to the first one, but in a way that actually has our main characters of age, so they're dealing with it more. And it's a great idea to have these characters dealing with that for the rest of the film, and that being their overall arc. It's actually really solid writing, not anything special by any means, but it does just give it that ounce of elevation over what is typical for these blockbuster movies. Like I said at the beginning, this is a movie that doesn't deserve to be as good as it is. For a legacy sequel nearly 30 years after its original film comes out that was kind of middling, this movie's pretty good, but it could have been better. And here is how. There's not a lot of wide shots in the movie. It's a lot of just showing the characters reacting in a medium or a close-up, and then showing very tight their cars driving on the road. They use a lot of long, kind of telephoto lenses to collapse the space in between certain things, to make it more visceral, to make the action hit harder, and I understand that. When you have a long lens, the car's here, the tornado's clear over here. I know it's a visual effect, but bear with me. The tornado's clear over here. If you use a long lens, it compresses the image to make the car look closer to the object, but it also compresses the image overall, making for a little bit of a claustrophobic experience. In fact, the entire movie is shot with these pretty claustrophobic close-ups that never stop. They're walking through rubble of a town, and it's shot through like the window of a building, clear over to where they are, way out on the street, while people are walking in front of the lens. It's so tight. And that's not helped by how quick it is cut at points. It's so claustrophobic and so quick cutting that often it was really difficult to understand what was going on. Other than that, the other thing that I would talk about is that this is basically just the first movie again. The whole film is almost identical to the first Twister movie. You have the opening scene where our female lead witnessed something horrific and then has to deal with that through the rest of the film. You have the main character being called back to their tornado chasing after they've given it up.
No, I don't chase anymore.
Ha! A manly handshake ensues. How you doing, man?
The first one has Dorothy, and they're launching little things into the tornado to try and learn about it from inside. And that one, they have that here as well, but this time they're trying to learn how to scan the tornado and disrupt the tornado. It's a series of unfortunate events where they can't quite get it. They drive up to the tornado and all hell breaks loose. A tree hits them. The things spill out. They can't get it. They can't get it. They can't get it. And then they get it at the end, and everything is great and the movie ends. That's almost the exact same structure here. I love a good tornado. I like that all their information was more or less correct about tornadoes too. They mentioned Tornado Alley. They mentioned that the EF rating is based on damage, not on size. Kudos to you, Twister. You did it. I like this movie. I don't know how it's going to compare to the original Twister. I think this movie's technically better, but it also has a lot less of iconic moments. That first movie is seen as something of a classic, even if it isn't the best movie. But that one has big moments that people remember. The cow flying through the air, the car smashing through the house in the middle of the movie. It has iconic moments, and I'm not sure this movie has those. It's probably better written. It's probably better made overall, even though I really like Jan de Bont's direction of that first one. Some of the shots are great. Some of the set pieces are great. and it has way more iconic moments. I think that one will be more of a classic than this one will be